Bronx, like I lived in the building, so I was a floor above my grandmother. So like I was so used to seeing her all the time, and it was like great that I could just go down to my grandma's house and just see her every day.
Good memories was, I guess, occasionally I would go outside like every few weeks or so and hang out with a friend.
Hanging out in the fire escape and the fire hydrant and listening to music, going to to the local beach, going to the local park, going up and down 170th, just doing like silly stuff.
The good memories that I have living in the Bronx was all the good people that I met, the people that I used to associate with, the people that I used to go and play sports, the Yankee Stadium, and I wish if I could see those people to see how they're doing.
A good memory. There's a lot of good memories. Tough to call. My best memory was it was a snowstorm in the Bronx, and like I said before, I had a single mom, and she had a Malibu Classic, and there was mad snow, and only reverse worked on the gear shift, and this 5'1" woman put my seatbelt on, put her seatbelt on, and went in reverse from 170th Street in a snowstorm all the way to Fordham Road and Jerome Avenue, all the way. I realized that day, I must have been about 8 years old, that it was true, that a woman is strong, stronger than any man, and that you don't need a man in the house if you got a woman with balls in the house. And I realized I had one.
My best memories are sports related. All kinds of sports, paddleball, stickball, many other games that we played, and that was probably the most enjoyable time.
Shootouts.
The people there, like the people were not as good as they should have been. Like it was very ghetto, and there was just like a bad like vibe around the block where I lived, so it wasn't really good.
It was like about 2 in the afternoon, and a shootout broke out right in front of us. So I got really scared and concerned, and I decided that I had to leave the Bronx, for my son and my daughter.
Bad memory would be a couple of times I was almost assaulted by people. One time, my mother liked to play the numbers, and she would give me money and send me to the Hunts Point area, where I would give the money and she would tell me what number to play. And one time I was chased by a couple of thugs that wanted to get that money from me, and but luckily I was a pretty good runner already and I was able to get away.
Bad memory, my Aunt Annessie. I cringe still to this day when I think about it. Her walking into the apartment and being chased by a man that was already in the apartment with a scissor about this long that my mother used as a seamstress. She was chased twice around the apartment, and she had the level head to go up the stairs as opposed to down, and the guy, after chasing her, ran after her but went downstairs thinking she had gone down to go to the street. It put a fear in me. It put a fear in me that somebody outside of my circle could hurt one of the women in my life. To think that somebody could take her away like that really pissed me off. Nothing happened to her. If something had happened to her, it'd probably be something I couldn't talk about.
I mean, there's probably, like you say, the grass is always greener on the other side. There's probably some idyllic place where I could have been raised, but I'm very happy with my upbringing in the Bronx.
Mixed bag, I guess. There were some experiences that I enjoyed, some that I didn't.
No, I did like it because I did grow up there, and it wasn't really that bad when I grew up. So I did like living in the Bronx, and I did like growing up in it.
I wouldn't trade it for the world, my experience of living in the Bronx. I regret a lot of things that happened to me, but the Bronx had nothing to do with them. Just like any grown-up regrets things. But no, I don't regret the Bronx. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
The Bronx is was like so different from like when I was growing up. Like it wasn't as
The drugs and the crime has gone
This
up.
looks a lot more dangerous to be like, you know, it's not someplace you want to be around at night.
It's not this down and dreary place that it used to be in the 70s, or that a lot of people outside of New York might think it is. You know? Bronx is cleaned up for the better.
So close your eyes and you.
I used to love to go to 149th Street and buy shoes there. They used to bring beautiful shoes. 149th had a lot of really nice stores at that time, and Fordham was the place that you went shopping.
Probably the running tracks are probably one of the spots that hold a lot of meaning for me, because I learned a lot of discipline from running, and I also made a lot of good friends, and we traveled to many races in the tri-state area. The running track, there was one at Stevenson High School, there was one in Pelham Bay, and there was one by Yankee Stadium. Those are the three that I remember the most.
Places that I went to in the Bronx, normally I used to go to Yankee Stadium to play paddleball and handball.
Probably my favorite spot in the Bronx out of every other spot is probably City Island.
My favorite spots was Orchard Beach in the Bronx, and I used to like Roberto Clemente pool.
It made me get a taste of like, you know, what it's like to be in an environment such as the Bronx. You know what I mean? It was sort of an experience in itself.
It made me a stronger person.
It has made me a tough person, I think. You know, I think of myself as a good person, compassionate. I try to be, but at the same time, like we say, I have my yes and I have my no. If I have to be tough, I'm tough, and that part of me, I think, is an outgrowth of my upbringing in the Bronx.
There's a lot of good, like for me, there's a lot of goodness in the Bronx in terms of family and love, and then the other side of the Bronx is violence and gang-related activities and drugs. And how do you balance all that good stuff between all the bad stuff that is happening at the same time that good stuff is happening? And you still live your life. Like, I never lived my life feeling like I was a poor person, or I was like, oh my God. No, I lived my life feeling I had one pair of jeans and 2 tops, and I felt like I was really rich, you know.
Describe the Bronx in one word.
Can't think of one.
Alive.
Ghetto.
Different.
Hectic.
Diverse.
In one word, I would describe the Bronx as resilience.
Tough.